Good afternoon, Pokésports, and welcome to another tier list video. Now, in the last tier list video, what I did was just rank every single Pokemon allowed in Sword and Shield in terms of VGC viability in VGC 20. But here we are. Home came out. March 1st rules update have been updated. And we have a bunch of new Pokemon that are going to be entering the metagame. So now what I have here is a completely blank tier list, including only those new Pokemon that are going to be entering the metagame. A lot of Gigantamaxes, a lot of regional variants, a lot of very interesting mons that I have played before in the past. So I am super excited to use them in this metagame to see where they fare. Now, without further ado, if you guys enjoyed this and you guys enjoyed tier lists, maybe we'll consider doing some more in the future. Subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, check out our merch store for Pokésports merch, and let's get started. Now, what better way to get started than the first Pokemon in the Pokedex? We have Venusaur. Now, Venusaur, I think, is going to be very good. Like, I think is going to be one of the best Pokemon. I'd even give it A tier because it will be the fastest sleep powder in the game with chlorophyll boost, and it's also this metagame lacks a strong grass type, and Venusaur has been a very staple strong grass type. It does everything that you need a grass poison type to do in very good fashion, very fast fashion. Now, paired with Venusaur is Gigantamax Charizard, but I'm including Gigantamax Charizard in here now because solar power is now legal, which is essentially just a better Charizard. We've already seen Aaron Trailer have success with Charizard in the Dallas regionals with just a regular Blaze Charizard, so I can only imagine what, a solar powered Charizard is going to be. Now, I'd honestly even argue for S tier here. I think Charizard's going to be one of the strongest Gigantamaxes. I'm actually going to be running it for my Ontario regional team, so that's just something to keep in mind. Now, Blastoise, I think Blastoise has potential. I think Blastoise has a lot of potential with Shell Smash, with Torrent, with Focus Sash, with that kind of setup. But this is doubles, so that kind of setup where you're running a frail, fast Blastoise can be easily taken advantage of. You can easily just double target into this thing and then not worry about it. But if you allow Blastoise to get one Shell Smash up, if it's broken down to its Sash, and if it gets the Torrent boost on the water moves, those muddy waters are gonna hurt. But granted, there are also Pokemon with Storm Drain, with Water Absorb that can take care of it and not worry about it too much. Next Pokemon that we have, we're gonna go over some of... Actually, I guess we might as well finish the starters, right? The big cat Incineroar. Where is Kevin gonna place Incineroar? I'm putting it in A tier, but I will put it above Venusaur. Now, the reason why I'm putting it in A tier, Incineroar will be used. 100% will be used. Just watching the Oceania Internationals, we could see how used Arcanine is. We could see how annoying it is with the Intimidate spam and the Snarl spam. So, Incineroar is going to be the same thing. Especially with Parting Shot now on this Pokemon, I understand that. But in this metagame, there are better ways of dealing with this Pokemon. Sage Park kind of popularized that Incineroar isn't going to be as good as it was in past generations because a lot of nerfs to the things that made it good, like Pinch Berries were nerfed. You have so many more Defiant users that are, more viable in this generation, like Passimian being one of the best counters to it, Milotic being one of the best counters to it. There's a lot of things in this metagame that can make Incineroar not fail per se, because I don't think it will fail. I think it'll be very used, especially when it first comes out. Every team and its mother will have an Incineroar, but I don't think it'll be as impressive as previous generations. I think it's a solid Pokemon. A tier pretty much means just very good, like beyond good. So right where it belongs, beyond good. Not yet broken. I'm not going to say it's broken. I mean, maybe after I get more play with Incineroar in my game, I'll make my final decision. But for now, I'm going to say it's not broken. Followed by the first regional variant that we do have here. Actually, no. Wait, never mind. I said I was going to do starters. Primarina. Standard Pokemon. C is average. I think it can work. This game doesn't have, like, super good water types. And Primarina is just kind of, the Sylveon water Pokemon. Does have Hyper Voice, does have Liquid Voice, can do a lot of damage, does have high special attack, high special defense. It can work. It's in an awkward speed tier, but since this is a slower metagame and it's slower generation in general, maybe it could work a lot better than it did in this metagame than past metagames. The following starter is also Decidueye. I'm going to say Decidueye is going to be right here also in C tier. I don't quite know what it does. I know it gets long reach, which kind of seems like a useless hidden ability, but it does get it. It does have pretty high physical attack, pretty high special attack, can be a very successful mixed attacker. Does have an interesting stab. It is Ghost and Grass. Same typing as the Gourgeist, which is super popular in the Oceania regionals. But I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of play with it in the past, even in generations to where it was a very condensed decks. I still didn't see him used too much. I don't have a lot of play experience with him, but I do think just by looking at his stats, look at what he does, look what he's good at, he's going to be a very, very strong addition to the metagame. Now we'll get into Ninetales. I've been kind of skirting away from Ninetales for a while, but now we're finally here into Ninetales, and I'm going to give it a solid B tier. Ninetales might make Hail actually usable. Who knows? It is the fastest Aurora Veil setter, so much better than Vanillux, and so many people have been running Vanillux for a very long time. It'll essentially replace Vanillux with, you know, just Focus Sash and Aurora Veil, followed by Moonblast and Blizzard. It does a lot of damage, does more damage than Vanillux, and it's also faster than Vanillux. So, I mean, why not use it over Vanillux? I think it'll be super strong. Lowland Dugtrio. Yeah, no. It's not gonna do much. I mean, maybe you can get away with some Tangled Hair shenanigans, but to be honest, I don't see it doing much. It is ground and steel, does have that steel typing, but I don't know. I don't think it'll do anything. I mean, if Dugtrio is not used, then a Lowland Dugtrio is definitely not going to be used. Next on the list, we have Alolan Persian. I think will be very strong. The fastest Quash user in the game that is unprankstered. And that is super big because it means you are allowed to Quash Dark types, which is something Sableye struggled with in the past because he wasn't able to Quash Dark types. And the Quash is very scarce in this metagame as well. Very scarce in this generation. The only other Pokemon that gets it this generation, I believe, is Morpeko, which is it's fast enough, but it's not the fastest. And you know, Alolan Persian's a lot tankier with Fur Coat. It does have a lot better supportive moves like Foul Play, like Fake Out, like Thunder Wave, like, so it has everything you need in a Pokemon. I think it'll be really used. I actually do want to run it on a team because I'm actually pretty excited to try it out because it actually was one of my favorite supportive Mons in past generations. Next, we're going to find Rapidash a place. Now, yeah, I'm gonna stick Rapidash in D tier. I think in a metagame where fire isn't that strong, there aren't that many fire types being used, maybe it can work, but there's just no point of using it above things like Incineroar or above things like Darmanitan, which I'm gonna stick right there. There's literally no point in using Rapidash. It can probably function, but if you're using it, you're probably being a Poke hipster. There's nothing that Rapidash can really do above Darmanitan and above Incineroar and above Charizard. So it is kind of underwhelming there, but it is nice to have another fire Pokemon in the metagame that you're able to use, maybe. Now moving on, we have the Galarian Slowpoke. Yeah, we'll put him in the subscribe to Pokésports winky face box. You don't really want to use it. I mean, I guess you can get away with it, but just don't. Just wait until its evolutions are out. Next, we have Farfetch'd. There's literally no reason to run a Farfetch'd with Surfetch. Surfetch is already infinitely better than Farfetch'd, and it's not seeing any type of play, so just don't do it. Next, we do have a Corsola. Also, don't really do it. It doesn't do anything above a Galarian Corsola, and on top of that, you can't Eviolite this thing to make it super tanky, so it's just even that much worse. Stunfisk, same situation. Don't use Stunfisk. Linoone, you know what? You can get away with some belly drum shenanigans, right? You can get away with some belly drum shenanigans. You can't Eviolite this thing, so just keep that in mind. But, you know, Linoone is there. I guess Linoone could do something. But I still wouldn't recommend it. It's still not the... Honestly, I'm looking at the two Pokemon that Linoone are next to right now. These two Pokemon can still function. I don't know. Guys, don't... All you Linoone stands, I'm sorry. But I'm gonna stick it right there. Next, we're gonna get to the Gigantamaxes, and starting off, we have Gigantamax Flapple, which is F tier. I think it's terrible. I think there's no point to it. What's the point of raising? What does it do? Lower the opposing Pokemon's evasiveness? What? Why? What does that do for you? It does nothing unless they're minimizing, but what's the point? You already can't miss a D-Max move, right? So it's, why do you need to raise their evasiveness or like lower their evasiveness? It probably lowers their evasiveness. There's no point to it. You don't have to make them more hittable because most moves in the game are already 100% accurate. I don't know. I don't see a point to it. I guess maybe if it's a hustle and you wanted to make it so that you can hit the Pokemon with hustle later on, but then they switch out. And then it goes back to normal. It's not that good. It's not that serious. I think there's no point in using it. But speaking of apples, I do think that Appletun has a pretty darn good one. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and put it in C tier. It's very situational, but very good. It's essentially aromatherapy with a damaging move. Not bad. It's a lot better than, you know, lowering evasiveness. At least you're able to hear status ailments. That's like super good in my opinion. Next, we'll get into Kingler. I think Kingler is solid D tier. I've gone against a couple Kinglers, believe it or not, in like just casual play. They're very frail. They're very, very, very frail. Like to the point where I'm just like, oh, like are you even Dynamaxed or Gigantamaxed? But you know what? It is able to lower the opposing Pokemon's speed by 1, but this is where you put yourself in a situation where like, why don't I just use Icy Wind, right? Icy Wind does the same thing. Granted, I understand it's by -2, but typically -1 is more than enough. -2 is just overkill. I don't think it's that strong. If you guys disagree with me, let me know down below. Alcremie, I'm gonna give it a solid C tier as well. Does a very similar thing to Appletun because, you know, Alcremie does just heal your Pokemon straight up, while Appletun heals your status ailment. So I think it's pretty strong, not too bad, not too shabby, straightforward, nothing special. I think Grimmsnarl is going to be very used. You get an instant yawn against your opponent on both of your opponent's Pokemon immediately. You just get a free yawn off. That's super strong. I mean, it can be countered with things like switching out, and it can be countered with things like electric terrain, but that's why I think it's good, not super good, because it does have counters, and it is kind of, you know, you can play around it. It's just annoying because you do force your opponent to switch and to do all those things. Next, we have Toxtricity. Toxtricity, I think it's going to be... See, I don't want to put it in this tier. I'll put it in C tier. I'll put Toxtricity in C tier just because Toxtricity... Maybe this is what Toxtricity needed. Toxtricity in general was a very frail Pokemon. Did die to one shot if it was super effective. So maybe by being Dynamaxed, you're able to actually live, dish out more damage. Granted, I do believe you lose the Punk Rock damage, but you're able to paralyze or poison your opponent. It's kind of an awkward situation where, like, you might as well use Raichu. I mean, not Raichu, Gigantamax Pikachu, because Gigantamax Pikachu has the better Gigantamax move, but you're stuck with Pikachu once the Gigantamax is over. At least in this case, you're stuck with a Toxtricity, which is a lot better than Pikachu. Moving on, we have Orbeetle. See, Orbeetle's a weird one. I think Orbeetle can work with, it can work with Hypnosis teams. Hypnosis teams will love this thing. It comes in, does an attack, sets up the gravity, and then you just get 100% accuracy Hypnosises on all of the opponent's Pokemon. I think that's super cool, but I don't think it'll be used that much because just in general, gravity teams aren't used that much. So I'm gonna stick it here in the D tier. I might consider it, you know, to be a C tier. Like it's like bottom of C, top of D. Moving on, we have Hatterene. I think Hatterene's gonna be good. Gigantamax Hatterene is just infinitely better than regular Hatterene. If you think about it, you confuse the entire enemy side of the field, and on top of that, you didn't really, and you get the Psychic Surge damage off immediately anyway, because essentially you normally always have Indeedee paired next to Hatterene. That's typically the strategy. So you'll be able to get psychic damage confusions all over the field, doing a massive amount of damage. So I think it'll be super good. Well, not super good. It'll be average at best. It's just infinitely... It's like it has that Snorlax treatment where like there's no real reason to use a regular Snorlax over a Gigantamax Snorlax. There's no reason to use a regular Indeedee over a Gigantamax Indeedee. It's kind of the same way I see it. Next we have Coalossal. Coalossal essentially does the exact same thing as G-Max Wildfire, except it's rock damage. The problem with Coalossal is its typing is very frail. I mean, it's not. It's a very bad typing, to be entirely honest. Fire and rock. You're 4 times weak to ground, 4 times weak to water. I mean, it's not a fun typing to be. You could probably one-shot this Gigantamax pretty easily, but if it is able to get one attack off, and if it is able to get that steam engine off, then I mean, it is just infinitely better than a regular one, I guess, if you're running the surf thing. But I don't know. Its typing always turns me off. And okay, I'll put it above Toxtricity. Its typing always turns me off, so I usually try to stay away from it as much as possible. Now, the piece de resistance, the final Pokemon that we do have on this tier list, S tier. S tier above Charizard. You get a free Aurora Veil off. You get a free Aurora Veil without the need of Hail. So you don't have to run Hail at all. You just have to G-Max and you get a free Aurora Veil off, while also doing damage. Lapras is already very strong. I know Mike is having so much success with Lapras. There's a bunch of people in our Discord chat, Pokésports Discord, that are having so much success with Lapras as well. So the fact that it can work successfully as a standalone, imagine it as a D-Max. I'm excited for that Pokemon. I'm sure a lot of people are excited for that Pokemon. A lot of VGC players that I've seen make tier lists have put Lapras at the top, and you know what? I agree with them. Because I think Lapras is going to definitely define the metagame. Maybe people are going to have to start running Gigantamax Corviknights, or they're going to have to start running Brick Break, Psychic Fangs, just to stop the Aurora Veils from happening. But with that said, hope you guys did enjoy this quick little video. It was a lot shorter than the last one did take us, just because we have a lot less Pokemon to cover. If you guys want to see more videos like this in the future, when more Pokemon do get added into the metagame, please do let me know down below in the comment section. Click the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, check out our Patreon, check out our merch, etc., etc. Everything that is nice that you can find, it is in the description. I promise. I make it nice and clickable for you. With that said, I'm Ovation. This is Pokésports. Have a great night. Peace out.